After the arrival of Aizawa in Class 1A last chapter, we move straight forward into explaining how they got there. It starts off with President Mike being pissed off that Kurogiri is malfunctioning and Mike still believes that Shirakumo is truly dead. It's pretty clear that he still has pent-up anger and hatred from all those years ago. Eventually, Kurogiri activates and warps them to the refugee camp with ectoplasm there. Several of the refugees, including Death Arms, offer to help fight. If you're wondering who this character is and why their design sort of clashes with everyone else and why they're in the foreground, this is Astro from Barrage. This is one of Horikoshi's lesser-known works. This is also why he calls himself a nobody, because I think that one got cancelled. All for One's forces are slowly being whittled away. However, some of the more stubborn prisoners from Tartarus are proving a bit more problematic than expected. We also cut to the end of last chapter. All for One taunts them, saying, "Hey, come to have your quirks stolen, have you?" Obviously, we know Deku wasn't going to stay armless for long, so the solution is to just stab him with Aries' horn. Rather than giving Deku an infection, this actually causes him to regrow his arms because of Rewind. Eri hacked off her own horn with the help of ectoplasm, since she can't be on the battlefield. What the hell, ectoplasm? After this, Aizawa was going to hit you repeatedly with a folded-up newspaper. Now the final battle has begun in earnest. Okay, so a few thoughts on this chapter. Eri cutting off her own horn and possibly making permanent damage to her own quirk in order to heal Midoriya is at least going to help keep the stakes where they're supposed to be. After all, Rewind is one of the most obscenely broken quirks in the entire series. Not to mention, we don't exactly have an exact measure for what consists of energy to charge the quirk, so at least breaking the horn off and giving it to Aizawa to heal Deku makes sense. Also, she wants to sing. Eri, a few words of advice right here. When you become an idol, do not under any circumstances get pregnant at 16, especially if the father has a very dark and troubled past. Do not have twins. Do not give the boy an embarrassing name to say in Japanese. Do not die and break the hearts of fans in and out of universe by dying young. One child will follow in your footsteps, while the other will be dead set on vengeance. Do you really want that? No! Okay, so I do wonder if Astro's appearance is just a small cameo, or if Horikoshi's going to do something insane. Like turning his past protags into cannon fodder for All for One. I mean, the protagonist of his first work that he ever published was a guy with decay powers that activated on touch, named Tenko. Ahem. I think one of the aspects that has consistently annoyed me during the final arc is the Tartarus villains. Like I said in my video that was about the messy final act, these Tartarus villains are really not that interesting in the grand scheme of things. Villains like Kuneta and now Gashly have interesting designs, but they lack purpose other than being obstacles for the heroes. Now, if this wasn't the final arc of the series, this would be acceptable, but here, no. This honestly could have easily been fixed if there was a line that said that these were villains that All Might once put away and they were All for One's loyal lieutenants, or given how All for One fashions himself as the Demon King, he could simply call them his most loyal nobility. That way, the theme of the next generation of heroes defeating the last generation of villains and how the next generation of heroes are just as worthy of inheriting All Might's legacy would be in full effect. But no, we don't get that. Though what makes this chapter 10 out of 10 for me is that Mineta looks like he is out for blood. No longer is he the coward we all knew. Those are just my thoughts. Please consider leaving yours in the comments. Please consider liking, subscribing, tipping the channel on Ko-fi. This is Cyril signing off.